Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. here. So I want to just reach out and say thank you to all you guys. You guys watching any of my videos, you know I am taking the trek out to Kansas City, Missouri to look at my 23 Ford diesel. So because I'm completely enamored with the idea of these new gas trucks, you know, the big guys getting good fuel economy and doing all of this stuff, there still comes down to, I guess, some truths and some myths, specifically about the 7.3, about, you know, gas trucks in general. And so I thought I would take a moment and just kind of do a quick video on it. You know, I think one of the biggest things when people say, well, you know, if I'm going to buy a heavy duty truck, I got to get a diesel. Okay, and I think that's true in some respects depending on your usage. If you're going to pick up your kids at school and idling that truck for more than, say, even 15-20 minutes a day, and you're not pulling more than 100 days a year, I think a diesel truck is probably something you can skip. Because after 2007, they started making trucks with all of new and rigorous EPA standards. Meaning, if you have an 07.5 to or 08 and up truck, you're going to have a diesel particulate filter and special EGRs and stuff like that that basically help eliminate the look of soot. All right, diesels are already inherently a very clean running vehicle. They just look like they blow black smoke everywhere, and that's dirty and filthy. But actually, it's less harmful, that soot, than it is a lot. That's why most European countries are still diesel. So at the end of the day, if you're not towing a ton, I think you should skip it. My personal opinion, but it is your money. You do what you want with it. But these new diesels coming in, or sorry, new gassers coming in at 2018, 19, 20-ish, they really started coming out with better transmissions, better build quality of the actual gas motors. And now, sorry, somebody's gonna ding me on this, gas engines, not motors. I know, motor is electric. I'm gonna use them synonymous, so don't worry about it. Nonetheless, so these engines with these, you know, 8 speeds, 10 speeds, and now GM's got a 10-speed back in there, 6.6. We're up there in the ability of towing. So I mean, most of the campers you're going to be out there towing are 20,000 or less. And this year for Ford, there's even their little baby Zilla has tow ratings better than last year's 7.3 Godzilla. So I mean, tow ratings, gassers are up there now. So if you just need a little bit more than, say, your half-ton truck, well, then I think a gas option is good, because you're going to spend about $8,000 to $12,000 more just for the engine option. Okay, so at the end of the day, I just think that that's a big misconception that gas engines can't do the work. All right, another misconception is people think that this truck can't slow its own butt going down a grade. All right, so a lot of these newer trucks use engine and cruise grade braking and transmission braking, whatnot. This truck does great with it. The GM truck did pretty good with it, and the Ram really, I don't know, it does fine, I guess, for what it's doing with its 8-speed, but I'm just not a huge Hemi fan with the multi-displacement junk that's in it. But these trucks actually do pretty good slowing down, so you won't miss having that diesel exhaust brake. Okay, so I think that's a big misconception also. All right, another thing about gas trucks, and I hear this every single time, well, you're going to have higher resale. Yes, that is a no-brainer, meaning if you spend $10,000 more on any truck, regardless of your engine, you should see a comparable higher rate than if I went out and bought a Lariat and then I bought an XLT. I should expect that the XLT is going to bring less return in trade. But again, these people that say, well, you got to buy a diesel because they last forever, then what do you care about your resale value, because you're going to keep the truck for 7 million miles, right? So I don't think that that's really something you need to think about, because it's going to be comparable to what you paid for it in your trade values. All right. Another misconception is that you know, diesels don't have a lot of extra maintenance. They have a ton of extra maintenance. At about 50 to 60, 70, 80,000 miles, depending on your driving habits, you're going to need to have your EGR cleaned. okay? You're going to need to have all of that stuff done, and maybe even a DPF replacement. These are all diesel after treatment things that come now on every diesel. They've been on diesels since 2007 and a half, and those are just upkeep items, okay? So you're gonna have to do those, and those are thousands and thousands of dollars to replace those pieces if you damage them, okay? But part of owning a diesel is if it says it needs a regen, you got to do the regen. Otherwise you're trapping all that heat in the engine, in the turbos, in the regen system. You're doing all of that, and that is very bad for it, and it's only going to cause you a headache in the end, okay? When it talks about fuel economy, all right, I actually am getting 15.3, and you can see I'm ripping at 80. The best I've ever returned on this Godzilla was 17 and a half. That was doing 65 in a 65 mile per hour zone for almost 150 miles. Coming back through that same area, kept that average, but once I kicked up to 75, it did drop down to about 16 and a half. But compared to what a 454 or a 350 would do back in the day, I'm happy with that. This is a heavy duty truck. So fuel economy's up there. In comparison, my 21 Duramax only got about 14 to 50, and everybody else will say, well, I got 23 and I got 24. If you are, congratulations. I'm not sure how you did it, because I drive pretty easy. You can see I drive an eco mode in the Ford, and I could never get much better out of it. And towing, obviously, that always went down on every vehicle. So fuel economy was not there. Now, my first gen Cummins, sure, yeah, you get 20, 23. My first gen Duramax, yep, I probably pushed 21, 22 with it. But once they added all this other crap on there, forget about it. Fuel economy is not where it used to be. So really, on average, I either get less than this in some of the diesels, or I average about the same. But another myth would be, well, my diesel gets way better fuel economy, so you know, I'm gonna be at the stops less getting fuel. Well, that's not necessarily true. Figured it out. You know, if I get this truck itself in a gas form has a bigger tank than the diesel truck of the same manufacturer. So this is a 34 gallon. If I got the 6.7, I get a 29 gallon. Okay, so if I say I get 15 and a half miles per gallon, I get about 527 miles per tank. Okay, now if I had a diesel and I got, say, 18, so I'm gonna give myself 2.5 miles per gallon better, which I don't see that in any of the Powerstrokes at work, but let's just say that I'm only still getting 522 miles to a tank. So it's about the same because you have a smaller tank size. But if you even got 20, yeah, it bumps it up to about a 580 mile range. However, just filling those up at the current prices of diesel, the myth is that diesel will be cheaper. It's not. It's actually about $9 more per tank at this last stop where I got fuel to fill that tank. So really, I mean, unless you're going to get the extended range tank, which is only available in most long beds, and there's some aftermarket stuff, and there's also TransFlow tanks and whatnot, I just look at it like, I think that's one of the biggest myths, is that the diesel's like this end-all better product, and it is good, don't get me wrong, but I think just a lot of people are overlooking where gas trucks are now versus where they were. Back in the day, I mean, you're talking 2011, diesel Duramaxes weren't even rated to pull more than, say, depending on the truck and the configuration, 13, 14,000, sometimes 15. My 08 crew cab 1-ton dually with the 6.4 Powerstroke was rated at 19,000. That's it. So, I mean, you gotta, you know, today these gas trucks are doing more than ever. All right. And then I think another one of the myths that I kind of laugh at and scoff at is, because I'm a truck driver, is, and I delivered fuel, is that gas trucks, when they're towing, say your RV or whatever, everybody's saying, well, it's hard to get in and get fuel when I'm driving a gas truck. If I have a diesel with a camper, I'll just pull in where the big trucks are. Okay, well, first things first, if you're not a trucker and you're going to use those islands, I'm going to tell you some etiquette. Pull in, get some fuel, and pull your truck forward to the line, okay? Even if there's nobody behind you. If there's nobody behind you, you probably got time to get yourself a sandwich and a Coke, and then get out of the way. If you're going to be in there much longer than that, pull out and park in the truck parking or whatnot. Don't leave your truck at the island. That's just etiquette. That's just rude. The truck drivers got to get going. We got to roll. We're on a clock. So don't make me pull up behind you thinking you might be done, and then another truck blocks me in, and then you're in there getting a Big Mac and a Slurpee and reading a book. You don't have time for that. But unless you're getting fuel in the 1930s or 40s, which in the 40s and 50s, most farm trucks were actually gas. So even in rural areas of the United States, they're going to have a truck stop on the side of this highway every 8 miles. So you might do a little trip planning to make it comfortable on yourself, but where are you driving with your camper that you can't get in a Today fuel island at a Love's or a TA or a Pilot or any of those places, or even in my rural hometown, a farm country, they have fuel islands all over the place that'll fit trucks and cars. I mean, what do you think, that these campers are the biggest thing that's out there? No, there's guys hauling horse trailers and cattle haulers that they believe in gassers, and that's what they use, and they have no problems. Now, this is where your skills are going to come in. If you can't drive in general, that doesn't mean you probably should be, hauling a camper. If you can't get it in places, then either trip plan better or do it. But I would say that 100% of the places that are accessible today are probably accessible by a truck with a camper or a trailer or whatever. Is it going to be as easy as a truck island? No. But is it that much harder? Not to me, but I guess that's up to your driving skills. So I think it's hilarious. This 7.3 Godzilla has been a great truck. It actually gets really good fuel economy for a heavy duty truck. We are out here in, I don't even know, Timbuktu, but I went to the last fuel stop at Love's. My fuel was about 90 cents cheaper a gallon. I'm getting right now what our Powerstrokes get at work, our 19 Powerstroke. And, and I got a better range because I'm getting the same fuel economy, and I got another, 5 gallons of fuel to keep cruising down the road. So, don't be scared to buy a gas heavy-duty truck today. Just keep in mind what you're trying to do. I say 10 to 20% over what you need to pull. If your trailer is 10, then get a truck that will pull 12. That doesn't mean you have to go crazy on get a 1-ton dually to do that. But at the end of the day, just plan ahead, forecast ahead, and get that. But if you're only going to tow that camper 8 times a year, say 30 times a year you're going to go camping during the summer, which would be lucky you're still not going to use that diesel the rest of the year the way it's supposed to, and I think you're going to have issues. And if I end up picking up this 23 Powerstroke, which it's a beautiful truck and everything like that, if I end up picking it up, I'm going to do exactly what I did in this truck, idle it and everything like that, and I'm going to show you guys this regen and the issues it causes. And you know what, it's going to be under warranty, and I'm going to keep it within check with what the owner's manual says. But if it says regen, I'm going to keep driving it. But I'm also going to notate that, hey, I had to do 6 regens this week, versus in this truck, I just fire it up and go. I don't have to worry about that crap. So at the end of the day, if that happens, I'm going to show you guys that diesel now is not the end all. And people will also blast me and say, well, you need to delete it. Okay, that's illegal in most states, and or you're going to be required in my state to have emissions. So if you pass emissions and you go to re-up it and you're deleted, it's gonna cause an issue. Okay, now you won't be able to get emissions and you won't be able to get registration. In addition to that, these trucks currently report everything to Ford. Okay, they have over there updates and everything like that. So, and same with GM, same with Ram. If you delete it, this truck will know, and it's going to report it back. So even if you break down your truck, put all your gear back on, which is not really a conducive idea. It's not something you're going to do fast to get it towed to the dealership and get worked on. The computer is reporting, it's going to say, hey, the after treatment process has been blocked, and then they could reject your warranty claim. So there's just a lot of stuff that goes into that whole thought process, because everybody thinks that there's a way around it, and in some states maybe they don't care and you can do that, but I would never recommend that. I think it's just a bad idea, leading to more bad consequences. But all right, guys, there is a bunch of myths. We're just enjoying my drive out here to Kansas. Please do hit the subscribe button to help my channel out. And we're going to keep bringing you as much content as I can, as much information as I can. And we'll see you on the next one.